Hi, I'm Felino Samson. We're at the Beet restaurant on Water Street. Today we're cooking risotto. Risotto basically means rice. It's a dish from Italy, well known more in the northern part of Italy, even though the rice is actually grown in the southern part. But Milan is famous for its risotto. Today we are making a squid risotto with shrimp and squid or calamari. First, let's talk about rice. Rice for risotto is actually a short grain rice. Right there. There's many different types of rice. In Italy, it's usually arborio rice or cannaroli rice. Arborio is going to be the one that is going to be most common. You'll probably find in stores. But here on Nantucket, you also can find cannaroli. This is actually my favorite rice. The germ in this rice is actually a lot harder, and it's harder. It's basically a little bit more foolproof, and it's harder to overcook. That's why I like cannaroli. Okay, let's look at the ingredients today. So we're doing arborio rice. This is bay shrimp from the Gulf. This is actually local squid or calamari. It's caught here off the waters of Nantucket, and it's cleaned in the Cape and brought back here. It's amazing. The more you know about the products, the better your cooking will be. I always say ask the fishmonger where your products are coming from, especially this calamari. Highly recommend it. Sometimes in the markets you'll get calamari that's either sprayed to have longer shelf life, that kind of thing. Kind of not what you want. Okay. Squidding. Let's talk about squidding. There's actually two types in the market. This is most of the things you'll find, and actually what's in Italy is cuttlefish. But you can also find squidding. It says ikasumi, which is the Japanese name for it. But more likely, if you go to your fishmonger, they'll have small jars of cuttlefish squidding, which is great. They're both the same. We're also going to use white wine, chili flakes, garlic, onion. I have some herbs to finish with, chives, parsley, a little bit of cheese, and butter and lemon. Some Italians say that you're not supposed to mix fish and cheese. That's more in the northern part. When you get down to southern Italy and Sicily, they're a little bit more flexible. And I actually prefer a little bit of cheese in my risotto or pasta with fish. So let's get started. I've got a pan. Oh, let's talk about the pan. Pan for risotto, you need something that can give you a lot of friction. I would get a kind of a deep saucepan, and I like a rounded bottom. That gives you lots of surface to mix, and that's how you get a really good risotto. Okay, so let's start that. So we're gonna start our pan, get it really hot. Also, another trick that you should know about is that the stock that you use should be hot. That's basically so that your risotto doesn't, if you use a cold stock, it'll end up slowing the process and the cooking. Therefore, your risotto can get funny at times. So let's start. So in a pan, we're gonna put a little olive oil, a little butter, and we're gonna toast the rice. Wooden spoon. Okay. This is gonna take a few minutes. Let's talk more about the basics of cooking, the basic skills that I would like to teach you over the next coming weeks as this rice toast. We're going to deglaze with wine. So the principles are you have something savory, something acidic to offset it. We're gonna put a little chili flake and finish off with a little fat. So basically when you cook, all the flavors are salty, sweet, bitter, and spicy. All these things come into play, and you kind of want to cook and balance all those things. So as you go, you taste and you check, and then you balance it, whether it's a little more seasoning or a little bit more fat. But these are things that we're going to just learn as we go through this process. Okay, now this has toasted for a minute or two. If you can see that the kernels of rice on the outside has gotten a little bit whiter, and you're going to start seeing little brown pieces of rice. What you're doing actually is you're toasting the starch outside the rice. And this actually lets you control how the rice is going to cook. Because if you started risotto raw, all the starch would spill out. And you'd end up with something really gummy and something that you wouldn't want. So now that this is toasted, we're going to add a little flavoring. I'm going to add garlic. You add it now because you don't want garlic to burn. Onion. I'm gonna put a pinch of chili flake. You don't really want this spicy, but the Italians add a little bit of chili flake to things to kind of offset the sweetness of things. So it's a little piquant. Okay. So this will take a minute. Now that you see smoke, you see raw. Make sure you season the rice. Okay, we're gonna season as we start the cooking, we season in the middle of cooking, and then we taste, and then we adjust at the end as far as the, okay. So now we're gonna add the white wine. I'm adding quite a bit of white wine. I want that strong acidity to come through to cut through the fish and the cuttlefish and this rich stock. Okay, so let's talk about the stock. The stock is the very integral part of risotto. If you don't have a good flavored stock, you're not gonna have a good tasting risotto because basically it's just rice, your stock, and your protein. So this is a fish fumet that I made. If you go to the fishmonger, buy a couple pieces of fish, ask them for bones. They're constantly cutting fish in the back anyway, and they give it to you for free. So this is just a halibut stock with some onions, some white wine, and I threw in some fennel. You know, little aromatic vegetables help a lot. And then I just bring that up to a boil, let it simmer for about 10-15 minutes, and you have this beautiful stock, okay? So the white wine, once it's in, you're gonna cook all the alcohol out. It's gonna take a few minutes, and you're basically gonna let your rice cook till it's almost dry. What I'd like to do is add like a big tablespoon. Let that mix in. So cuttlefish ink or squid ink is basically, for the most part, does not have a strong flavor. It's pretty neutral. But what it does add is a little bit of brininess to this dish. Look at it. Look, it's just this dark, swampy, like the Black Lagoon. It's just beautiful. Thinking about the lagoon in Venice. Okay, we're gonna cover the rice with some stock and we're gonna let that cook. So there are critical moments when you cook a dish. I would say in risotto, the things that you have to pay attention to is the toasting of the rice that allows it to cook at the proper speed. And they say, oh, add a little stock, cook it. So to me, that's not as important. You know, at this point, you're basically hydrating the rice, you're giving it a stir. I would say not walk away from it, but it's not so critical. It's closer towards the end of the cooking that we need to pay more attention and look at how the starches are gonna come out of the rice. Okay, so this is gonna cook down. Okay, back and forth, up and down. I would say like 2 or 3 times you're just gonna add a couple stock until you can taste it. You can taste the rice and the level of chewiness. Okay, not even close. So we're gonna do this a couple times. So okay, so this is rice that I've cooked earlier. And it's hydrated quite a bit, okay? Some of the starch is coming out. I'm gonna bring this back. I'm gonna wet this rice one more time with some stock. Okay. At this point, you don't want to cover the rice. You just want to just keep building and coaxing out the starches on the rice. So like I said, this pan really helps in that because you want a lot of surface area and you give it a stir. Use both hands. You're stirring the pot. Okay? We're just gonna let this come back up to heat. Once you get these basics down, you can cook any kind of risotto. Like, you know, this is simple chicken risotto with some Parmesan or a vegetarian, like broccoli and cheese kind of thing. You can basically do whatever flavor you like. Okay. But today we're traveling to Venice. Okay, at this point, let's try that again. Okay, so I can tell the chew is there's just a little bit of starch in the center. They say risotto should be served al dente. To me, al dente does not mean there's raw uncooked rice in the center. It should still be cooked. Okay? You just don't want it to turn into a goopy mess. And honestly, you can tell when rice is totally overcooked. It's just mush, and then all the rice kernels start to break apart. Okay, so this is close to where I want it. I've cut the shrimp because squid is one of those fish that you either cook for a minute or you cook it for 100 minutes. You only want to cook it until quickly because it's tender. And that's why I cut the shrimp. The shrimp takes quite a bit of longer to cook. So I cut it so it's kind of similar to the same cooking time as the squid. So now I'll add the shrimp, incorporate that. So this is when you start coaxing that little extra starch out. So at this point, we're getting close. The rice is almost cooked, and I'm gonna add the squid. And we're just gonna stir that in. Wow, look at that. We're gonna flavor it with some parsley, some chives. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of butter. It's about a tablespoon. Some cheese. Down a little, quickly. Okay, it's just about done. I'm going to wet it one last time, just to water down some of that starch. Okay. And what I like to do at the very end is I cover it. This is my own little trick. I'm gonna turn off the power. The rice right now is very al dente, a little bit of starch in it. The water is still loose, but it's still absorbing a lot of moisture. So I'm gonna cover it, let it rest, let the starches to calm down a little bit, and some of my stock to absorb into the center of the rice. When you make risotto, one of the things, like hints as far as texture, risotto is not something that you can heap up on a plate. Risotto is meant to be soft, and then when you put it in the bowl and you shake it, it should just fall gently down, and you can see the crema, or the soft matter that holds onto the rice, that it's not running off. That is a properly cooked risotto. So these are the hints that we need to, this is the basic knowledge that we need to have when we cook risotto, okay? So it's been sitting here a minute. I'll take a little slurp. At the Beet, we suggest this Zoe from the Peloponnesus. Okay, that's Amy. That's my partner. She is also the wine director for the restaurant. It's from Greece. Wine grapes that I really don't want to say, but I suggest it. It's a beautiful pairing. It's light, it's crisp, has a little bit of fruit to cut through the beautiful, rich fish. Okay. All right, so this has rested. We'll dish up a little bit of the beautiful risotto. Okay. We'll take this in our bowl. We'll just do a little portion. I'm going to try. Very moist, very wet. And I just garnish. Even though it's beautiful, we're going to add a little bit of Italian green, some chives, and would do more acid, big squeeze of lemon. Okay, and if you like chili flakes, if that's to your thing, but when you try it, it's briny, it's deep, it's acidic. It's a perfect balance of fat to the starch of the rice. This year, we can't travel. Let's travel by our food. Come with me to Venice and have some squid ink risotto. I'm Felino Samson, cooking at the Beet. Please join us next time. Thank you. Hi,
I'm Amy.
I'm Felino.
And welcome to our winter cooking series, The Beet Cooks On. You can find us on YouTube at The Beet Nantucket. Follow us on social media. It'll be posted weekly where Felino prepares one of his signature dishes here at the Beet or something that we're featuring that week.
I'll see you there.
Find us at 9 South Water Street. Check us out at thebeetnantucket.com where online ordering is available, recipes can be found, and be sure to check us out on YouTube. Thank you so much to the Nantucket Chamber Center for Entrepreneurship. Without the grant that we received from them, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers. Salud.